want to talk today about a tool that you're probably not familiar with using in the world of leadership and management, and that's a normed bell curve. If you're not familiar with a normed bell curve, what it measures is the distribution of really any human trait across the population. So for example, we could plot height along this distribution. 68% of people would fall between this 4 and the 7. The shortest people would be 1s, but that would be a less number of people in the population. People who were 7 foot and above would fall in the 9s and 10s range, meaning there's less of them in the world. It allows us to see kind of where most people fall, right? If you were able to measure behavior and how people naturally behave if they were allowed to just be their best, most natural self, what would that look like? Would you hire them? Would you manage them differently? Let me give you an example. Let's take independence. 8s, 9s, and 10s in independence want to do the work by themselves. 1s, 2s, and 3s in independence want to do the work on a team. They like to win together and lose together and collaborate and make decisions by consensus. These folks just want to go do it by themselves. I'm sure you can think about roles in organizations where we need people to just go do the work by themselves, right? But I'm sure you could also think about roles in your organization where you need people who want to build consensus, who want to work together and collaborate. We need people in all of our organizations that run this full spectrum. And so if you knew where somebody fell in independence, would you treat them differently? Would you put them in a different project? Would you, if you knew that you were a 9 and you were managing a 3 in independence, how would you manage them differently? How would you interact with them differently? Because you score a 9 doesn't mean you can't act like a 3. It just means the 9 is who you are at your best, most natural self. And so you might have to stretch and get uncomfortable in order to manage a 3. Knowing this information can be really helpful. So over the course of the next few weeks, I want to start talking about measuring behavior, measuring thinking style, measuring passions along this bell curve to help you understand where does your team fall and what might you need to do differently in order to allow that team member to be the best version of themselves that they can be. Because when you put them in situations where they get to be themselves, that's where they're going to thrive. That's where they're going to be the most productive. And if we can't put them in situations where they can be themselves, what are we going to have to do to coach them? And for how long can they stretch? Because if we ask people to stretch for a really long period of time, we get burnout. We get mental breakdowns. We get physical illness. Think about put yourself in situations where you've got to get uncomfortable and behave differently than what's comfortable for you, and how challenging that is. We're asking our employees to do those same things. I hope this is helpful, and follow along as we talk about the different behavioral traits and how they might apply in your workplace. Have a great day.